So I'm Kevin Elmy. I operate Cover Crops Canada, based in Sylvan Lake, Alberta. I have been farming in eastern Saskatchewan for 22 years in the Yorkton, Saskatchewan area, and did a lot of learning on regenerative agriculture and transforming conventionally grown land into something that is more regenerative in nature.
So when we start looking at, where the future of regenerative ag is, listening to Rick, he's one of the leaders out there to go out and have that quality of a speaker and willing to share his experiences. This is where we do a lot of learning, and this is the great thing about the learning part as a presenter. I've made mistakes. You want to hear about the things that didn't work? Was it a failure? If you break the word fail down, it's the first attempt in learning. And so you have to take those experiences, good, bad, or ugly, and okay, where did it fall apart? What do we have to change to make this succeed? Christine Jones talks about the 3-strike rule. Graham Sims, when he started growing sunflowers in Australia, first year he grew them, they grew this high and died. This is in a polycrop. The next year they grew about this high and died. The third year they grew, 6 feet high and big flowers, and his neighbor came over and said, "Oh, you finally found a variety of sunflowers that worked." He said, "No, this is the same variety, but because we're putting it back in, we're putting that microbiome of that seed into the soil to make it work." So once again, the failure isn't a bad thing. Exactly. So we have to look at what did we learn from it? How do we move forward? So once again, the soil health principles, these principles are universal. That local agronomy is going to be the thing that drives it, and because you guys have this great resource of the Menoken farms, they're doing a lot of the heavy lifting, doing the research for you, so that this way you don't have to do the mistakes. You can talk to Jay and he'll say, "Okay, what worked and what didn't work, and what would you do different, and why do you think it failed?" That experiment of where they seeded the 12 pounds of alfalfa into corn right before the corn emerged. What a great opportunity of adding that diversity to create that weed control, to have that living root. When we go through and we are going to be doing these next steps of moving forward, we have to do these goals. We have to review our goals. Is it the right goal that we're looking at? So, is it, tile drainage? That was a great conversation part because of the fact that, I can tell you a story from Prince Albert again. The local dairy that I was working with, they were farming 54 acres on their home quarter because of all these potholes. Because we had a bunch of tap roots and we actually fixed his hydrology cycle, he was seeding 156 acres after 4 years. So did he need to tile drain? No, he needed to infiltrate. And so when we get excess water, okay, so that's a different story. But these are the things we have to look at as goals. What are we trying to fix? Is that the actual symptom, or is that the causal agent of causing our problems? We need to measure these baselines. We need to find out where we're starting, because if after 5 years you say, "Well, no, it's my soil aggregates didn't improve," well, is that because you're looking at it? Is it because how did you measure that? So it's really important, and we need to go out and we have to measure things that maybe we don't need to know right now. It may be important in the future. So we really need to go out and once again, have someone come out with some experience to come out and say, "Okay, did you test for soil compaction, the depth of soil compaction? Did you test your brix levels in your plants? Did you, oh yeah, I didn't think of that." So it's really good to have these extra eyes come out. Don't be scared to modify plans. It's always good to be that linear thinker, but if you need to borrow my ADD, let me know, because I'll lend it to you and it'll come back to me, don't worry. But it's something where, we're going to be dealing with a very diverse, dynamic systems, keyword. Systems, because it isn't just the soil we're dealing with the biology, we're dealing with the whole ecosystem. So we need to have more producers in. Like the reason why you're here is because you're not chemical farmers and you're the mold to find out what we're talking about. You're here because you're looking at doing change. I'm assuming that anyways. So we need producers to be trying new ideas. Share that with others. Yes, I tried sesame in Saltwood, Saskatchewan. The first year it didn't work because it didn't rain till July. Second year it didn't work because Dad got out in the sprayer and he sprayed the spot where I had sesame, and he said, "Why were the weeds growing in rows?" Okay, well, apparently that didn't work. But these are the things that we have to look at. So, try these things and share what some of your results. Listen to I skipped the one, the really important one, because we need to keep the researchers chasing us. Because, Rick, do you have any researchers say, "Oh, this is what's happening on your farm"? No, they're coming out, they're testing, and they're going to be looking at what's going on. They're trying to figure out why things are happening this way. So it's good for the research to come out and befriend a researcher, get them out there and just see what's happening and the evolution. Even if so if Rick picks up an extra 200 acres, okay, so here's a starting point. How do we move forward? And wouldn't it be neat to have a researcher come out and track those changes using his management? So this is going to be pushing the research community. We need to listen to that old research. This whole rhizophagy thing, I've never heard about it until last year. And when we start talking about nutrient cycling, Dr. White was talking about up to 85% of the nutrients that the plant takes up, ideally, should be coming from a plant eating microbes, not from the soil solution. So once again, kind of hurt my brain when I heard that one. Since in university, I started my postgrad diploma in soil chemistry. We need to be learning on the farm. We need to be doing on-farm research. Avery Shepard, another guy in Saskatchewan, he talks about his fun fields. So he'll take one field, not the whole farm, and he'll do something that maybe is a little crazy. He heard Rick talk and he said, "Hey, I'm going to try this goofy thing on this 50 acres. It's not going to make or break the farm, but if it is successful, what does that do to his operation? It's going to move it forward." We need to be sharing our experiences. If you're so inclined, I know the local newspapers, the commodity groups that have their magazines, they're always looking for stories. And so if you kind of do a bit of a blog of some of the experiments you're doing, your experiences, share them, because we can all learn from them. Because once again, okay, you're too wet, no, you're too dry. What information can I pick from Western North Dakota that's too dry that I can use and implement to help me out? This failure, Gabe has this quote, I absolutely love it. If you don't have a failure, you're not trying hard enough. And when we fail, okay, so once again, it's negative. It's a learning opportunity. It isn't a failure. It's a failure, okay, if you did it on all acres and it didn't work, well, okay, yeah, that's a bit of a failure, but it's a learning opportunity. So these are the things, once again, when we start looking at the failure, that means we quit. We gave up. We don't want to give up. We want to learn. We want to move forward. We want to make it better. This is what we want to do. So there's a quote from Shorty Fensky about fail. It's just the first attempt in learning. And we want to learn. It's humbling, early in my regenerative career when you're going through, okay, I think I got this all figured out, and then you meet Chris Nichols. Oh, okay, learning more. Then you meet Jay Fier. Oh, okay, I got to learn a lot more. Then you meet, it's as we go along and we're meeting people, we're always learning. Today there was some, absolute golden nuggets in there that popped up. They're awesome. And the biggest thing is when we have a mistake, we have to learn from it. And when we start talking about the chemical world, apparently some are slower learning than others. So Christine Jones said, she talked about her 3-strike rule. Maybe it was just the year. Maybe it was just the situation. Maybe we seeded too deep. Maybe our soils weren't in the right fungal to bacteria ratio. These are the things that we have to be looking at is, maybe we're just not there. We need to get these external eyes out there. This is what's great about these group like this. Hopefully there's going to be some friendships starting up, maybe some WhatsApp groups or Facebook, whatever groups, so we can get together and have good discussions. Get out and have these spot tours. And right now, just quick show of hands, how many people would be interested in having this group come out in July of this summer and have a crop walk on their farm? Yeah, there's a few. What's stopping everybody else? We should be proud. We need these eyes, and this is where people came out when I was starting my journey. And you got some plating in your soles down at 6 inches. Okay, yeah, I saw that too. Okay, good to reaffirm it. Oh, I forgot my video. So this is a field of a cover crop. So it's cover crop on the more mature side and the green side. Same cover crop, but he was seeding the field, and he thought, oh, just wait. He told me only seed the barley at 30 pounds an acre instead of 60. So he remembered, he cut his seeding rate back, and you can see that the two sides, it almost looks like different fields. I'll go through it again. So the cover crop responded differently due to the seeding rate of his main crop. This is the expression of what is the priority? Is a cover crop? What plant in there is the most important? So when we start talking about measurements, are we successful? That net profit per acre is exactly what we need to be talking about. And you guys came up with it, Rick came up, that reoccurring theme of, it isn't that Y word that Chris Nichols says we have to get rid of in agriculture, yield. We need to talk about net profitability. That whole thing of moving that bar forward on our soil health. We need to talk about water infiltration because, when it's too wet, we need to get rid of the water, but we don't want to get rid of the water. When it's too dry, we want to, capture every drop that we get and store it in our soil. 1% organic matter will store about 27,000 gallons of water. I'm not very smart. I don't know what 27,000 gallons of water per acre works out to be, but it works out to be 1 inch of water. So if we can start storing extra water in the soil, that extra inch of rain that we missed, well, if we have it in the soil, that's going to be a win. We want to take a look at our compaction. Where is that compaction? How hard is it? Is there multiple layers of compaction that we're looking at? Is the soil aggregate stability? Really simple thing to do at home. You can either do a slake test, so the macro aggregate, or you can screen it down to 2 millimeter sieve size, or the particle size, put it into a shallow dish, add water, and see how long those aggregates stay intact. And that's really important for that water infiltration and your rooting. Your weed populations. Your weeds will tell you what is happening or what's not happening in your soil. When Weeds Talk by J.L. McCammon. Great book. The problem is when I bought it, it was about $20 for the book. Now it's $65 because of printing costs. But great resource to go through and identify what those weeds are telling us. And then, like Rick said, the whole idea of developing a cover crop blend to address those weeds, I've been doing that in Canada for 12 years. When Weeds Talk by J.L. McCammon, and you can get it through Acres USA. Easy read. The wildlife diversity. The great thing about coming through eastern Montana is I have never seen so many pheasants and sharp-tailed grouse in a long time. So there was lots. It was right around dusk, so of course they were on the shoulder of the road, and my windshield is still in good shape, so everything was good. But this is that whole thing. We want to see this diversity of native wildlife out there, whether it is ungulates, whether it's insects, whether it's birds. Those are the things. So when we go out to the pasture, get out to our pasture, close our eyes, and just listen to the number of different types of birds we're hearing. It gives you a really good indication of where your health is. When we don't have a healthy system, we're not going to see those native animals in that area. And that's when, on our farm, we had 3/4 of land right beside some wildlife land. And so during hunting season, that wildlife land was pushed, 6 to 8 times a day, maybe more. People were asking me where the deer go. And I said, I don't know. I'm busy cleaning seed. I'm not hunting deer, so I don't know. 2 weeks after hunting season, there was 300 deer out in my field, grazing. Where'd they come from? And why are they just on my land and not the neighbors? Because I had the diversity, I had the food, I had a healthy system developed. Lab testing. You can do a bunch of lab tests to get that chemical or an independent type of reports. We can get some biology tested. We can get the chemicals. There's some great labs out there that we can get some really good information out of. And gather as much information as you can. Get pictures. With cell phones, we have all this data or memory we have loaded up. Get pictures. Get some pin flags. Put them in the field so we can go back to the same place and really get good pictures of what's happening in our soils and our landscape. You'll be proud of me of this one. So that was in the years that we were a little on the wet side. Normally we get about 8 inches of rain during the growing season. Well, we're getting about 40 through May and June, so we were a little on the wet side. So as soon as it dried up, I seeded some Japanese millet, some crimson clover, some radish, and then that fall we hayed as much as we could. Then we turned around and we seeded winter triticale into it with my really high-tech zero-till drill. So it was 1986 Bordeaux air seeder, 8-inch centers using 1 3/4 inch hole openers with gang packers on the back. Did not plug it once, and I went through a lot of acres that were, the Japanese millet was this high. There was no weeds, didn't add any fertility. Once again, that's when I realized how powerful this system is once we get this biological system going. It does take, it's great to learn. It takes time. It takes experimenting. To have these mentors. We need that plan to move ahead. Do something dumb on the farm. And believe me, for me, it's really easy to do dumb things. Every day I'm doing something dumb. If you don't believe me, my wife will be showing up at 5 o'clock. She'll give you a list of dumb things I've done. Don't do it on a big scale. When those dumb things that you're going to do that hard right turn, don't do it on big acres. Do it on those fun acres. Steve Groff uses that 5% rule. Do something different on 5% of your land. So if we're talking 10,000 acres, okay, maybe that's the wrong number. Maybe it's 1% or 0.5%. But do something that is, let's see if it works. I heard Rick try this, and he said it works at his place. Does it work here? And you have to remember that anything is possible with ice cream. Unless the ice cream machine is broken, then we're in trouble. But I haven't heard the update if the ice cream machine is working or not. I'm hoping, because there could be a lot of angry people here. They're hoping. So once again, thank you to the committee. Jay, you're a huge mentor of mine. Thank you for all you do for me. Greatly appreciate it. And with that, there's my contact information if anybody is looking at getting a hold of me. Questions, comments? Otherwise, we'll go straight into the group.